As you can see, this is a cloud-based application working exclusively in the cloud. It's HTTPS is the login, so it's a 128-bit encrypted system, so same level of security as internet banking. And the application itself is a role-based application. So for me as a user, I can access many areas of the business, but in a traditional business you would have a specific role that you'd carry out to see the information you need. At the moment, I'm looking at the business from a senior executive's point of view. And as a senior executive, I would need to look across the business to help me drive the business forward and help drive that growth. So what am I seeing here on my dashboard? A number of tiles identifying pieces of information that I need to work on or have my attention drawn to. I've also got a number of KPIs that are visible to me to carry out my task. So I don't need to go and find key pieces of information. I don't need to wait until the end of the month to find out where things are within the business. It's all there visible to me in day one, and I can start to investigate key pieces of the business should I choose. So if I look at some of my KPIs here, I've got the fact that sales are trending ahead of last month. If I wish to represent that data graphically, I can start to see where my sales are going, and I can represent that data however I feel is appropriate to me. So it's all live data delivered to me in real time. If I want to investigate further pieces of information here, if I look at sales for this month, I can click on the amount and I can start to drill down and investigate trends. So I can see, well, who am I selling to this month? If I want, I can drill further and say, well, okay, what exactly have I sold to this particular customer this month, and the dates of the invoices, etc., and the types of products they've bought. I can drill further and start to look at the individual transactions, so I can see everything that's been made up for that particular item. I can see exactly who the sales rep was that carried out the task. And even the sales order that they created. If I want to drill off and look at the sales order and see why the prices were the way they were, I can do that. Equally, I can drill across to the customer record and see exactly what their position is. So now I've got a lot of information presented to me about the customer. I can see the context of the customer if I want to communicate with them, where they are within the world, what's their overall profile. And likewise, what sales information have I got against them? So what current opportunities are the sales team working on? What specific transactions have we processed thus far? But importantly, I can also look at which products has this customer purchased from us, and also what potential upsell items could the customer be interested in. So by a few clicks of the button, I've actually found a lot about this particular transaction and this customer. If I want, I can generate a dashboard on the fly and pull all of this information into one central screen to allow me to actually look at overall performance for this customer. So now all of my KPIs are against this customer record. I can see how we are performing with them, and I can also graphically represent some of the transactions that we had on the customer file. So if I am driving the business and looking to growth, I can identify areas for the sales team to action, and we can start to improve the overall deliverables of the company. So that's one area that NetSuite can start to provide information to key decision makers throughout the business. If we look at the second point now about driving efficiencies, as NetSuite is an integrated solution, everyone within the organization can have their view of the system and they can carry out their tasks. So now I'm looking at a dashboard that belongs to one of our sales reps, and we can see on the dashboard that there are a number of reminders that are there to help drive my behavior, as well as the KPIs that are important to me, looking at my specific leads, my quota, my opportunities, etc. If I drill down on the opportunities that I as a salesperson have to close, I can see all of the opportunities sitting there today, and I can sort the opportunities however I choose to get my attention and focus in on the areas that are important to me. If I look at this particular opportunity that we've identified, I can drill off and have a look at the opportunity and see where we're at. I can call the customer and we can start to progress this sale. Once the sale has been progressed and I'm in a position that I can choose to either generate an estimate or a quote, very quickly I can pull that information and take it across from a traditional CRM environment into what would now be a traditional ERP environment. So as I create the sales order, I'm being told that the customer has exceeded its credit limit, so there's the finance system coming into play, and as this is a demo environment, I can choose to work past that, but traditionally it would allow me as the salesperson to discuss with the customer their account position before we progress this sales order. It's pulled across the items from the opportunity, so I don't need to re-key anything, and I can go ahead and save that sales order. That sales order will now be visible to, in this case, a warehouse team for shipping of those items, and it's also visible to the sales management that I have now converted that opportunity into a sales order. So again, if I was to switch role and go in as our warehouse staff, they will be notified that the sales order is ready to fulfill, and on their dashboard the reminders are telling them their task to carry out. So again, if I drill down, you can see that my sales order is there ready for fulfillment. If we drill into the specific sales order, again people are being told of the credit limit exceeding, and we can see the item that I need to pick, and I can work my way through picking and packing and shipping. But in the interest of time today, we'll take this order all the way to shipping. We've taken it out of our specific warehouse, and it's linked to our sales order. So again, without anybody needing to send data from one area of the business to another, two business units have carried out their specific tasks. So finally, if I was to complete this by going in as a financial controller, then as the sales order has been fulfilled, I'm now identified on my dashboard that I have some sales orders that I need to bill. And again, if we look at the items that need to be billed, I can go ahead and look at the specific sales order that's been created, and I could generate all of the sales invoices. But we can see the invoices come across from our sales order with the items that the salesperson sold to them. So by simply saving that transaction, this could now generate an electronic invoice to be emailed or transmitted to the customer, or alternatively we could print the invoice. So on the customer record you could decide exactly how that customer intends to receive information. So if I go ahead and just print, we'll see that the invoice is there for the amount. But interestingly enough as well, behind the scenes, if I just look at the GL impact, from the original sales opportunity that the salesperson created through to the shipment, through to the invoice, nobody had to post or code data to the general ledger. Everything is happening in real time, and now the financial statements are up to date, and users can then start to analyze that. So everybody can carry out their task without having to sort data, and we can drive user behavior. Now, having looked at driving efficiencies, then we can also look at how can we manage specific costs within the business. And to do this, if I was to switch now to look maybe as a CFO role, as the overall controller of finances in this organization, I need to see full visibility across financial position. And again, I can have specific key performance indicators that will drive my focus, and I can see whether or not profit is increasing, whether or not sales are increasing. But interestingly, as I continue down, I can also see, well, where are expenses sitting in comparison to last month? Is there an increase in expense? And again, if I wish to represent that graphically, I can start to track expenses over time, and if I wanted to, across our financial quarters as well. So identifying that things are changing, I could also invoke some specific processes that will drive how the business will operate with exceptions. So on my reminders, you can see that I've got things like purchase orders that require my approval. I've got sales quotes that maybe need my approval. If a salesperson is raising a sales quotation that does not meet the margin requirements today, then that could be identified as a finance area approval required. Likewise, invoices that get entered. If somebody's entering in an invoice that is potentially an exciting prospect as the amount is high, then that could be good news, but equally it could be that somebody's gone ahead and entered data that potentially is onerous, and maybe they didn't actually sell 250 of these items, maybe it was 25. At this point, it's very easy for me to go ahead and investigate, and should I approve or reject based on those discussions, data can be corrected. If I was trying to find this information at month end, it will be one of many things I'd be reconciling, and hence that would add administrative burden to the organisation and potentially cost us time in processing. But because this is an acceptable transaction, I can go ahead and just mark this as approved, and that will release that invoice into the billing cycle. Now if I come back to my dashboard, again as a financial controller, there could be a lot of KPIs that I'm monitoring, and so again I could graphically represent those KPIs by using some kind of KPI meter. So I can compare any of my KPIs and graphically represent those. So if I was to focus in on expenses, we can see exactly how expenses this month are comparing to last month and whether or not we're going over. Likewise, if I wanted to look at any of the other areas, whether it was profit or sales, then that information is also visible to me. So there's a whole raft of information from across the business that I'm seeing in a real-time basis that will help me drive the behavior of the team and also help manage those costs, which will hopefully increase that profit. In addition to some of the processing that's in place, you can also choose to represent the key pieces of data as trend graphs. So instead of picking the KPI and graphically representing it, there could be certain trend graphs that I want to present on my dashboard to again focus my attention. And should I so wish, I can also have specific KPIs or ratios that I wish to monitor just by analyzing key pieces of data from across the business. In traditional solutions, people would have to take this data out to things like data warehouses and use business intelligence tools or Excel and things like that. Now it's all visible within the one central repository. I can start to analyze data and identify trends and focus people in to improving the process as they go.